Hey guys, welcome back to Through the Screen. I'm Emily.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Brittany.
We hope you've been enjoying our first 3 episodes and liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. If you missed any of them, head on over to our channel and watch. The link will be down below. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe while you're there. This week we're back with all new topics, and we have a pretty big show with one very important topic, so we hope you'll follow us once again as we join via Skype to bring you conversations through the screen.
This episode, we will be discussing the annual dolphin hunt in Taiji, what you don't know about the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, a fascinating wolf story, and a single ingredient citrus exfoliant, and a special throwback to one of our favorite shows, Off the Map. First up, the Taiji Cove.
They said if the world finds out what goes on here, we'll be shut down.
So most of our viewers know about Taiji Cove and what happens there every year. But for those of you who don't know, Taiji Cove is a cove in Taiji, Japan that is very shielded from the public eye. So every year from September to March, so that's 6 months out of every year, a group of fishermen go out on boats and basically form this kind of drive formation, usually at like a V shape with the boats. And they try and herd a pod of dolphins into the cove. And they basically use a metal pole and make banging sounds under the water to kind of disorient them and push them toward the cove. And usually it's dolphins, but every once in a while it does include a few whales. But once they're in the cove, the area is basically netted off. And then one of two things happens. The quote-unquote pretty ones are selected as live captives to be sold for ridiculous amounts of money to entertainment parks similar to SeaWorld to basically become slaves to human entertainment. And it's not just Japan. They're shipped to China, the Middle East, Mexico, even the United States, even though we've denied currently importing dolphins. But the dolphins that aren't as pretty or healthy to be sold as live captives are brutally slaughtered, and they're taken into another part of the cove that is more shielded from the public eye so people can't see what they're doing. And basically they drive a metal spike into their backs to sever their spinal cords. And it usually takes about 7 minutes for them to die. Some say 20 to 30, and it could even take as long as over an hour. And some are still alive when they're being dragged to the butcher house. So it's absolutely cruel and horrible. And the dead dolphins are sold as not as much as the live captive dolphins. And they're basically packaged and sold in grocery stores. And oftentimes they're sold under false pretenses as whale or shark meat. So the majority of people buying this meat don't know that it's dolphin. And as was the case with the Faroe Islands, if you watched our Faroe Islands episode, this meat is completely toxic with mercury and it's making people sick. And these fishermen also tear families of dolphins apart. So juvenile dolphins are usually ideal for live captives, but if they're too small or not healthy enough to be sold as live captives or for meat, they're just tossed back into the ocean to watch their families get slaughtered from behind the net and then eventually fend for themselves in the ocean. So it's an absolutely disgusting practice, and it's basically all for money, all for the fishermen to make a profit. So live captives bring in up to $150,000, and a dead dolphin brings in about $500 to $600, and this is US dollars. And it's at the expense of either these dolphins' freedom or the health and safety of the Japanese people eating this toxic meat. So Sea Shepherd, as we talked about in previous shows, has a team of land volunteers called the Cove Guardians. as Charlotte, the shirt that Charlotte's wearing. And basically, they're out there every day during the killing season documenting whether it's a Red Cove Day, which is where the waters of the cove are red and dolphins are slaughtered, or a Blue Cove Day, where the cove is blue and there's no slaughter. So the Cove Guardians are facing a lot of resistance and even violence from the Japanese police, the fishermen, all the people that are supporting this slaughter. And, they yell at them, they push them, they block their view. It's just absolutely horrible what they do to kind of keep people from seeing what's happening. And for a really long time, what happened in the cove was very secretive. And the horrors of Taiji Cove were finally seen in the 2009 Oscar-winning documentary The Cove, which was directed by Luis Saihoyos, who, as we know, is now directing Racing Extinction. And in the film, a group of really brave volunteers were actually able to sneak into the cove and set up camouflage cameras to kind of document the actual slaughter and the blood-red waters of the cove. And it's absolutely heartbreaking, but it's a really amazing documentary, so you all should definitely watch that.
Additionally, in Taiji, there are volunteers from the Dolphin Project, which the Dolphin Project volunteers are featured in the cove. They're the ones that actually, get the sound equipment down in the water and get back there in the cove and are hiding. It's really interesting. I really, really, really recommend that you go and watch The Cove if you can. Another thing about the hunt that is so insane is the reasons why they say that they do it. One being that they're saying that it's a tradition that they've always done it this way, that this has been going on, their ancestors did it, yada yada. But I just think that's just a really poor, pathetic of an excuse because, especially here in America, we've seen laws changed recently. Just because you've always done it one way doesn't mean that's the way it should be done. We advocate education, and once you're educated on something, you change what you think. Just because it's something that's always been done doesn't mean that it's the only way, or doesn't mean that's the way it should be. So I just think that's a really ridiculous excuse for why they're doing it. And another excuse is they're saying they're feeding the Japanese people, which is just a crock, because these Japanese people, when it's marketed to them, I would say, I think I've seen statistics as high as like 80%, of them going out there and asking these Japanese people, if they knew that dolphin was being sold here, if they knew what was going on. They don't even know they're eating dolphin. They, it's marketed as whale or shark meat. And even though to me, I would not eat whale or shark meat either, but they should know what they're eating. And regardless, the mercury levels are so incredibly high, just like we talked about in the Faroe Islands, it shouldn't be eaten by any person ever.
Right, and it's really a ridiculous amount. So the Dolphin Project, which Brittany was talking about, they actually tested the meat from last year's Taiji hunt, and it was basically 3 times higher than the Japanese Health Ministry's recommended level, and it is 20 times higher than is recommended by the World Health Organization. So it's ridiculous amounts of mercury that is poisoning people and poisoning unborn children. It's just horrible effects. They're putting this in lunch meals at schools. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's poisoning people.
And they're so unaware. At least if they were aware of what they were doing, it's dumb. But at least if they were aware, but they are completely unaware. They have no idea that they're eating this. Mm-hmm. It's appalling.
And it can be changed because it's been proven. The Solomon Islands was an island that lived there 1,000 years off of dolphin slaughters and dolphin meat, and just using every part of a dolphin to survive. And once they were educated on the facts and dolphin conservation and everything that we are trying to do to preserve dolphins in the oceans, they changed their entire way of doing things. They did things for 1,000 years like this, and they changed everything. The whole island changed the whole way of thinking, acting, daily life, how to survive. They changed it all. And it shows that with education, things can be done to progress and change and help grow the economy and the country and the earth. Because if we keep going about the way we're going about things, there's not going to be any dolphins left. There's not going to be any of the animals that eat dolphins left. And what happens then? It's the food chain. Each and everything is going to become extinct naturally just because we're killing off these animals that we have no right killing off.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I mean, like Paul Watson always says, if the oceans die, we die, and we are doing, we're destroying them. That's all we're doing. I mean, people like us and all the volunteers that are going out there. I mean, we're trying to spread education. We're trying to, inform people. Care. You need to care. It affects you, and I think that's the biggest problem is that people don't think that it affects them at all, or it's even relevant to anywhere they were. Last year, when I was researching things on Taiji, I found out that I'm from Indiana, and the Indianapolis Zoo actually had one of their very first dolphins they ever had came from the Taiji Cove, which I just found astounding. I mean, so it just hits home so hard for me because, we in Indiana, we helped, fund this, keep going and going and going, and it's really, I mean, I don't know, look it up. There could be a dolphin from around you that, came from the cove. It affects you more than you think.
And it's not just outside people that are now defending the cove. It's even the Japanese people themselves that have been educated on the matter that are now stepping up and stepping forward and going out even on the front lines themselves and putting themselves in front of these hunters and dolphins to protect the wildlife. And they're just getting educated, and it's happening in their country. So, I mean, it's something that needs to be spread worldwide so that everybody can get educated, everybody can know what's going on, especially Japanese people, because they're the ones that, obviously, they're the ones eating this meat, and they're the ones that are supplying, these 50 or so hunters with a job, because they keep buying their products, even though they don't know they're buying their products.
Right, and the number of dolphins that they drive in is ridiculous. It's estimated that they drive in more than 1,000 dolphins and a few whales every year. And last year, their quota, or in other words, the amount of dolphins and whales that they're actually allowed to slaughter, they went over that. And this year, last year was a little over 2,000, I believe, and this year their quota is 1,873. And likely they will also go over that. It's all for money, and it's ridiculous and horrifying.
Yeah, and I mean, it's actually, we thought we were making progress because in 2009 there were like 2,500 that were slaughtered, and then in 2012 only 800 were, and now we're back up to where we were before.
It also shows that, like, money and the two things that drive this whole world, every person, everything, it's greed, money, and love. So, I mean, it's like, no matter what you do in life, it's like love and greed, those are the two things that drive human beings, and more often than not, it's greed, and that needs to change, because look at what greed has done to everything in this country, first of all. You just look at that alone, and then you stretch it to worldwide. What greed has done worldwide is just disgusting.
And there's actually already change being done for this. So in May, the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or WAZA, basically told the Japanese Association of Zoos and Aquariums, JAZA, that they needed to stop their purchasing of live dolphins from Taiji, or their membership with WAZA would be ended. And so JAZA basically decided to continue their membership with WAZA and, in effect, end their purchasing of live dolphins from Taiji. And people are hoping that other aquariums in Japan will follow this, and it will take millions of yen from the fishermen's pockets, and will basically render the whole operation unprofitable, uneconomic, and hopefully end it. The JAZA aquariums are actually still buying about 20 to 30 dolphins a year from Taiji just to keep their numbers while the other captives die off, but it is significantly less, and they have agreed to kind of end that practice, which is good, and so hopefully other aquariums are going to follow that and hopefully, money is the big thing, as we've said, and if you take that away, hopefully it will end the slaughter.
Again, yeah.
Right, because, the greed part of it will be gone, and which, to what Charlotte said, the love part of it is the reason why these volunteers are out there. These volunteers from the Dolphin Project and Sea Shepherd and any other organization, or even the people of Japan who are out there, are all love, because they are totally just getting treated like crap over there. The police are following them around. If you see, we've already saw this year, the drive hasn't even started. It doesn't start till September 1st, and we've already had a Sea Shepherd volunteer, denied entry to the country.
Right. So, as Brittany said, the season hasn't even started yet. If you guys didn't know, the killing season starts on September 1st, and just yesterday morning, Cove Guardian leader Karen Hagen of Norway, she's only 20 years old, and she was detained trying to enter Japan. She was interrogated for 2 hours and held for 6 hours before being deported to South Korea. And while she was detained, they took away her passport. They escorted her everywhere, even into the bathroom, these policemen. And every time she got a phone call, she had to identify the caller, and she had to put it on speakerphone with a Japanese translator present. So the measures that they go to keep people from finding out what they've done, even though the world already knows, the world is already watching, and they're still trying to keep people from seeing what's going on because they don't want to lose that profit. And so, this poor 20-year-old girl is going through what terrorists go through, or maybe even more, just to enter and document what's happening. She's just trying to film and take pictures, and they're going through all of this. It's horrible.
And it's for love, the love of the dolphins, the love of the planet, the love of the people, all of us, because like we said before, the oceans are important for our survival, for our children's survival, our grandchildren's survival. And without people like the Sea Shepherd volunteers and the Dolphin Project volunteers, first of all, we wouldn't even know in the first place.
Yes.
The Cove is really is what has spread the word all over. I know that the Cove changed my life. I would say it really changed my life. Sea Shepherd live streams when there's actually a drive or a pod coming into the Cove, and they're really heartbreaking to see. I mean, you can hear the babies crying, or even all of the dolphins crying. You can sometimes, although the Japanese try really, really hard to hide it from you, sometimes you can see the dolphins in the Cove when they're netted in there. Anytime they have one of the ones that are going to get captured and sent somewhere else, you can always see their little boats going out there with the trainers, picking which ones they like before they're all slaughtered. It's really heartbreaking. It's really one of the hardest things I've ever seen on top of the Cove, but seeing it live, it breaks your heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Japanese are doing everything in their power to keep people from seeing this. When Karen was detained, they basically said that the reason for that happening was she was on a tourist visa and she was not there for tourist reasons. And so she turned around and said, well, isn't taking pictures a tourist activity? And then they changed their story to, well, you don't have a returning flight home, so that's why you're being detained. So, they try as hard as they can to stop this because they want that profit. But the Cove Guardians and volunteers and everyone who's against this slaughter are doing everything in their power to stop this from happening again. The campaign has even gained celebrity support. Shannon Doherty was part of the volunteers last year. She went to Taiji. She was bearing witness to what happens. You can see her reaction to a Red Cove Day, and it's just heartbreaking. And, with more attention and more awareness, hopefully we can stop this for good. So we want Taiji shut down, so, we're telling you guys this to bring awareness, and definitely tell your friends about it, so we can hopefully stop this.
So As most of you know, this year is the second annual Ice Bucket Challenge, and we were going to partake in the challenge to raise awareness for ALS, but upon research, I discovered that we didn't really know a lot about the challenge. We didn't really know where this money was going or what the money was used for, and most of the money doesn't actually go into the hands of the people that need it. So I decided to instead use this time to raise awareness to the facts of where this money is actually going in the challenge. So here they are.
Yeah, so I mean, for me in California, since we're already, experiencing a drought, the Ice Bucket Challenge was kind of already frowned upon for people in California to do because it was seen as a misuse of water. There are some celebrities that really, a lot of people also, that really tried to do their best to conserve water. Whether it's, people doing their challenges on the grass or whatever. So, for example, Renee Zellweger did her challenge in a horse trough, basically. So the water that she poured over herself was recycled into water for horses. And Ian Harding, who plays Ezra on Pretty Little Liars, did his challenge in a lake, so the water was also recycled. There has been some ways around that for people in California, but overall it's still kind of a misuse of water. But as Charlotte has found out, that's not really the only issue with it.
So, retired professional wrestler Lance Storm challenged the challenge, stating money is mostly spent for promotion and advertising. So most of the money that is raised in the actual Ice Bucket Challenge most of it goes towards advertising of ALS and awareness, but it's not actually put towards the people that have ALS that actually need the money, that actually could benefit from it. Pro-life members have been against it because they have discovered that in ALS research they use embryonic stem cells from aborted babies. That is part of a huge topic in discussion in news right now because it was recently filmed secretly that it is actually something that is really done hush-hush in the medical field. Other organizations point towards Midwest Stem Cell Therapy Center, Mayo Clinic, and John Paul II Medical Research Institute instead to donate your money to, because that money is actually used towards stem cells that are used from adults, not from embryonics that are aborted babies or babies in general.
I think that a big lesson to learn from that, not only to not do the ALS, is when you're donating money, to make sure you know where it is going. The fundraiser page that I recently made for breast cancer research, one of the things I was looking for before choosing which foundation to use was how much of this money actually goes for breast cancer research. And for that particular foundation, 91 cents of every dollar. So, there's only 8 cents that's not going directly to the breast cancer research. So, the fact that a lot of the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, especially because it raised so much money, is going for advertisement is really, really disheartening to me.
Yeah, and another problem with that is a lot of people would do the challenge but wouldn't donate. So a lot of people saw this as a fun way to dump water on their head when it was hot outside or something. They thought that was the thing that they thought that was the point of all of this, was to see if you can dump water on your head, when really you were supposed to donate to help research.
Yeah, the rules on that last year were very conflicted. I know when I heard the rules, it was you either dumped the water on your head or you donated $100. There was nothing to say that after you dumped the water on your head, you also donated the money, which should be common knowledge in general, but, a lot of people just didn't do it. They didn't realize that was the whole point to the thing. They thought the dumping the water was the raising the awareness part of it, and that wasn't it. The whole point was to donate, which, again, brings me to another point that Steve-O brought out. Jackass alum Steve-O pointed that exact point out. He said that most celebrities are partaking in this challenge, but they aren't stating that the reason to do the challenge is to donate money. It's not to pour the water over your head or find ways to do the water over your head that are more, helpful to the environment, where in Emily's case, where it's in California, like the whole reason was to donate.
Right.
And PETA has also criticized the challenge because they have discovered that the campaign uses archaic and painful tests on animals. When I discovered these facts, I was shocked because I was the one who was advocating for this challenge to be on through the screen. I was the one who wanted to talk about it. I was the one who was looking forward to doing it, and then I found out that it was against everything that we promote on through the screen. So it just goes to show you that you need to do your research. You need to find out where your money is going. I am not telling you guys not to donate to ALS research. I'm not telling you guys not to donate to people, but I am telling you to do your research. Know your facts. Know where your money is being put in what pockets, where it's going, because this money is not all this money is going towards where it should be going for ALS, this ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, and I was shocked by these facts.
So for our happy story this week, we wanted to talk about a pack of wolves that was recently spotted in California, and it was the first time in a really long time that this happened, so it was a pretty big thing. Basically, earlier this summer, a single gray wolf was spotted in California, and people thought that it might be the start of something bigger. So basically they set up cameras along a trail to kind of try and spot more wolves. And in August, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife captured images of 2 adults and 5 pups, and it marked the first time a pack has been spotted in California since wolves were basically driven out in the 1920s. So it was a really, really big thing. And the fact that they are making this journey from Oregon to California and back again kind of is important for the reestablishment of the wolves, and it kind of marks their resiliency of the species. And it's really good for California and for these wolves, basically.
So this week for our do-it-yourself vegan at-home trick, we went away from our base and did something that will maybe help in the winter. I know when the weather gets drier or the air gets drier, my skin gets drier. So we did a citrus exfoliant, which pretty much you just cut an orange in half and rub it on your elbow and on your knees, and it's supposed to make them super soft and get rid of all that dry, dead skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically you cut an orange in half, and one half you rub on your elbows and the other half you rub on your knees. And it's supposed to kind of like make your skin softer. Oranges kind of remove dead skin and kind of color and brighten the skin, so that's kind of the purpose of them for skin. For me, I feel like I don't know, I don't feel like I have dry skin to begin with, so I'm not really sure how well it worked, but I did feel that my skin was softer afterwards. It's just that it kind of gets everywhere because there is a lot of juice in it, so it was like running down my arm and like down my leg. That was the only thing, but other than that, like it wasn't horrible to do like some of the other stuff was, but it worked okay for me, I think.
I absolutely love this one.
Surprise!
I'm usually the one who's like, I hate these things. I did not like it. It sucked. But this one I actually really, really liked because my elbows were both very dry before I did it, and like I was like even checking to be like, all right, I want to see like if it makes a difference, Mm-hmm. So after I did it, they were like 10 times better. I was like, oh my god, I'm in love. And my only criticism was that I felt like I wasted an orange.
I still ate mine.
Say you didn't really waste it because you used it, but I also loved it, and I think that when winter gets here, I'll probably be doing it once a week because when winter gets here, my elbows and knees will be super dry, and so I'm really excited because it really does work. And here, for less than $1, you get awesome, soft knees and elbows, and so this one's definitely a thumbs up.
Yeah, so as always, try it yourselves. Let us know what you think, and let us know if you have any other suggestions, but that was our product of the week. So last week we brought you a throwback since PLL is no longer on the air. We watched an episode of Charmed, and this week we're also kind of going with Shannon and Holly, and we watched all of the episodes of their show Off the Map. If you guys didn't know, last July they announced that they were doing a travel show on Great American Country. Where they traveled to 6 states. It was Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And basically, we got to choose what they do there. We voted on some of their activities. And basically, they documented their entire trip. And in January, it was premiered on Great American Country, which unfortunately is a subscriber-only network in the United States. So a lot of people didn't get to see it. And for that reason, it wasn't picked up for a second season, but it was such a good show. It, kind of advocated a lot of really off-the-map places in the South that a lot of people don't know about. So, it was a really good idea and a really good show, and we got to see a lot of Shannon and Holly and their friendship and their humor, so it was great.
And, yeah, so some of the lines that they say, like, in the show, like, some of Holly's lines are just hilarious. I know, like, she makes me laugh so much. Especially the way that she delivers them to Shannon because they're best friends, so it's just like a witty banter back and forth to each other. Like, in one of the scenes, she's like, "Squirrel!" And, like, Shannon, like, starts freaking out, and she, like, breaks really hard. And she's like, "You can't do that to me," and blah, blah, blah. And Holly just keeps doing it to her. She knows it's, like, something that she'll, like, freak out about and, like, get, like, nervous about and break for. So she keeps, like, doing it, and it's so funny. There's another part where Shannon hits a frog, and she goes, "I just ran over a frog." And Holly goes, "Keep driving."
Yeah, it was funny because it was kind of like Holly was taking on, like, the mothering role, because Shannon was the really adventurous one that would do anything, and Holly was kind of, like, keeping her safe and keeping them from not dying. But the squirrel thing was kind of like a reversal. Holly was kind of being the kid, and Shannon was like, "Stop it." It was really funny.
So funny. It made me laugh so much.
Well, when they get pulled over, which is one of my favorite things that happens because someone's playing a trick on them, and Holly actually plays the mothering role really well because Shannon is like laughing to the cop and saying she's so tired, and he's like, "Have you been drinking?" And she's like, "No." And Holly's like, "Well, that's not intimidating." And I know, she's like, "Stop talking, please. Like, we're gonna get arrested." And it's a hilarious show.
It's the curb, and Holly's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know you." Like,
that's not incriminating.
She's like, roll it. I love that line. I started dying laughing when she said that the first time. I was like, "Oh my god, that sounds just like something I would say to, like, my best friend." Like,
yeah. When they're rowing the boat, and which I think Shannon is the one that's supposed to be, like, doing everything, and Holly's in the back, and she's like, "Driving Miss Daisy." Like, my favorite thing. Oh my gosh, I love that show so much. I hope, because we have heard, that they have said that they're gonna do it on, like, a subscriber thing, like maybe on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something. So I really hope that happens because I enjoyed every second of it. And they promoted a lot of, like, animal welfare things. They did a whole thing on sea turtles. They really just had a good time, and I enjoyed every step of it.
Yeah, and some of the
like in goats and like they
alligator
saw, like, a baby horse and alligator.
Oh, yes, the horse place where the rescued horses are. Oh my gosh, that's like one of my favorite things that they do, and they're talking to the horses and like,
yeah.
See, not all people are bad.
Yeah, and when the sea turtles were crushed and they were crying, that was so heartbreaking.
That was so sad.
It was one little turtle, and you can just see how much Shannon loves animals. She was just crying, and like it made me want to cry.
Yeah, I miss it. I really hope that they get to do another season, and it's on, like, Netflix or something, so it's more widely available and
right.
Sure.
International too.
So, like, and again, in, like, every episode, we got to pick something that they did, like.
Tomato fight.
We voted on it, so it kind of felt like we were kind of like a part of the show as well. Like, we tuned in every week to see what won, and you know, what they did and you know, how they reacted to it and how they felt about it, because it was like we told them, hey, this is what we want you to do this week. You know, it was kind of cool.
And just the interaction on Twitter, like some of the stuff he would be like, oh my gosh, I remember when we were tweeting with them about this one, or, you know, whatever, or when it got to the point where they were like, if you don't choose what we want you to choose, you know, you're cut off.
They got mad at us because the tomato fight, and they almost got attacked by bats, and they were like, no, you're not picking anymore. We're gonna like influence the vote.
You better be voting for this. So it was so fun. I love it so much.
It was awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I just love some of the stuff that they did, like the zip line and the gun range. Like, we got to see stuff that we would never see.
Yes, or what is it, Matahari? Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that was so funny.
That was funny.
Holly was hilarious in that. Or when they went ghost hunting, they also went ghost hunting in Georgia. Oh my god.
And they were like screaming, and it was really just one of the crew.
Yes, hilarious. If you haven't watched Off the Map, you need to find it. I think a lot of episodes are on YouTube. I don't know where else you could find it, but it is so good.
Yeah, I'm just sad that it was so short. It was only 30 minutes. They cut out a lot. Like, I was really excited to see the ice bucket challenge. Like, they're like not wanting to do it, and like the lead up to that, they didn't show any of that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to see that they didn't show. Like, when they went to the Rocky Branch Community Center, they sang with them. They cut that out. Like, they cut out, I don't know if it was like a copyright of the song or something, but there was so much that they didn't show, and it was just too short. They need to do hour-long episodes.
Yeah, and I think that when they have, you know, if they do it by themselves, they'll have way more say, and I think it'll be better, because I love their minds, both of them, and working together. I think it will just be really great. So, hopefully that is something that will happen in the future, and we could be talking about it on here.
Yes.
Before we go, we wanted to bring you our song of the week this week, and again, it's from Radical Something's Summer of Rad 2. This week they released Can't Stop Now, which is like a really upbeat, it's like the upbeat song, if that's a word, of all the songs that came out this summer.
Right.
And it really is just a feel-good song. It's about just like striving and doing what you can and not stopping and just having fun while you do it and live your life the way you want to live it. And so we recommend that you go to their website, or you go down below to the links, check out their YouTube pages, check out all their videos, go to iTunes, download their music, check out all the music from Summer of Rad 2 and all the rest of Radical Something's music, because you will like it, and if you don't, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've been waiting all Summer of Rad for a really upbeat song, so I was excited for this week's song. I think it's really upbeat and really good. And this week will be their last single of the Summer of Rad. We're really sad about that, but hopefully we get tour dates soon. But stay tuned for that next week for their last song.
We also wanted to remind you guys that we do have a fundraiser going right now for breast cancer research, and we're doing it in honor of Shannon Doherty, who was diagnosed back in March. This is a really well-researched charity that we picked. 91 cents of every dollar goes straight to breast cancer research, so you know where your money is going. Also, if you donate $5, I'm sending you a bracelet that says "Fight Like a Badass," and on the back it says "Shando Army," which the words are glow in the dark. So, just if you can, we're going to link it down below and click and donate at least $5, and we'll get you a bracelet.
Okay, guys, that's our show. We hope you enjoyed this installment of Through the Screen. If you did, be sure to like down below and also subscribe to our channel. We also appreciate any feedback you have, and we post new videos each week, and we'd love to hear. We'd love for you to join us, and we'd love to hear again anything that you have to say, and please tell your friends. Next week we will be discussing an important issue, factory farming, as well as a few other topics. We will also be, for the first time taste testing a vegan mac and cheese, so don't miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay informed, and we'll see you next time.